Let me begin, first of all, by extending our prayers and good wishes to Chief Long as he ends his career in law enforcement in just 2 days from now, on the end of this week. Also, we want to extend our prayers to Chief in Waiting Balog as he prepares to assume this important responsibility in the life of our community and in our department. You know, like my chaplain colleagues, I've been doing volunteer chaplaincy for a long time. In my case, over 30 years. And one thing I've come to believe is this: those who have long careers in law enforcement do so because it becomes a calling and not just a position of authority. In the Old Testament, there's a story in Isaiah 6. Isaiah was a member of a group of people who were expected to serve. In his case, he was a member of a tribe that was the priestly tribe in Old Testament days. And he was basically doing what he was doing because it was expected of him. But then in Isaiah 6, there's this encounter with God where God says there's some important things that needs to be done, and I need to know who I can send. In that moment in his calling, Isaiah's obedient response was, "Here am I, Lord, send me." In my own life, I planned for all of my high school years and in my college applications to be a medical doctor. In fact, I even intended to be a medical missionary. But then on one night, in a moment of honesty before God and an encounter with God that I will always remember, I realized that God was calling me not to medicine or to medical missions, but was calling me to the pastoral ministry. Perhaps you've had that moment in your life where you just knew in your heart that law enforcement was what God wanted you to do. A calling just as real as my own calling was to ministry. 50 plus years ago, as I look back, I'm so grateful for the calling and for my response to that calling. It's not always been easy, and it certainly hasn't always been lucrative. But looking back, I have no regrets. Let me encourage you now to take a moment to consider what your life will look like as you look back at the end of your career, whether it be in law enforcement or any other thing that you choose to do in life. But if you stay in law enforcement, I hope that you will realize that you've stayed in it not because it was just a position of authority or a job, but was a calling given to you by the God who created you for an important task that needed to be done in our community and in his world. If you do that, I think you will agree with me that your life has been well lived and you'll have no regrets. I remember at my ordination, my father who preached my ordination sermon looked at me and said to me, "Son, if you can do anything else in your life other than this and be satisfied, do that. But if you're called to this will be the only thing that will bring you satisfaction." And surely I've found that in my life. And my prayer for you now is that you will find this same feeling of accomplishment that comes from answering the calling to law enforcement or to whatever it is you do in your life that comes from God himself. Because if we are in his will, life will always have purpose and meaning in whatever we do. That is my prayer for you. May God bless you. Amen.